And welcome back to the Cover 3 podcast here on CBS Sports. That's Tom Fornelli. That's Bud Elliott. That's Danny Kanell. I'm Chip Patterson coming to you live at youtube.com/cover3 and everywhere you get your podcasts on demand. Thanks for hanging out. Smash that subscribe, smash that like, and come and join us in the chat, aka the Cover 3 Tailgate, where they are trying to get Mike Bobo hired for the Arkansas job because the Cover 3 Tailgate is committed to the bit. Lots to get to. Yes, we are going to do our normal Monday business. That includes Poll Assassin as we look at the AP Top 25 poll, react to some of the ballots, react to some of the changes in the rankings. We are going to go upon further review. One last chance to look back at the week that was. But first, let's hop on that carousel. For those of you watching on youtube.com/cover3, you got to see our old friend Mel Tucker. You got to see that stack of money, and that stack of money is particularly significant because Arkansas could have waited until the end of the season and saved themselves about $3 million worth of buyout money. But no, they decided to act right away. And the actions have also included today, here on Monday, Bobby Petrino, the interim coach, is just bringing out the chopper. We are just getting the whole defensive staff. You are out. Danny, the idea that Sam Pittman is not the head coach for 2026 is not a surprise. Where are you with the Razorbacks in terms of the timing of the actions, what we've seen since, and sort of what's next for that team and that program?
Is this like the reverse of Keeping Up with the Joneses? Where keeping up with the Jones, you're trying to spend more money to stay up with the elite. Are you trying to make sure you're in line with the losers that have already fired their coach? To make sure you're getting those interviews there. That's the way I see it. They don't want to get too far behind the interview process with some of these other coaches that are going to be having the same conversations.
Tanking, race to the bottom, tanking.
Yeah.
Something is that kind of what we're going for here? Does that make sense?
Something like that. $3 million is chump change when you think about the bigger picture for all of these programs. And hearing Brandon Marcello talk about the scene there at halftime when they're scrambling and people are irate and they're looking around and half the stadium is emptied out. That is, that's a rough indictment. And all of these hot fires that we've made, I am usually, since you guys have listened to me on this show, I'm usually patient, don't do anything rash. Maybe it can turn around. I think these have all been fairly obvious. Yep, it's probably time. Now feels like a time to just rip the Band-Aid off and see how it goes. I was more surprised today that Bobby Petrino made some of the changes on the defensive side of the ball. How many coaches are left? I guess you don't really need 45 coaches like a lot of these staffs have, but Travis Williams was one of those coaches who was, a very hot name in the next head coaching cycle not that long ago. And see the changes he made there was pretty interesting, but I think this is more about getting in line for the next head coach as soon as possible.
Yeah, I think Tom's point on the instant was really interesting as far as, hey, do it now so that you can remove all doubt that you should not hire Petrino because this thing's not going to really get turned around this season, obviously. I did have a thought yesterday while I was golfing, and if they went with Petrino, Bobby Petrino is not a candidate for any Power 5 jobs, right? This is the only actual P5 job or P4 job rather. The only P4 job Bobby Petrino could get is Arkansas. He has no leverage, contract wise, money wise with them, at all. I bet you could go to him and be like, hey, Bobby, we'll give you 2.5. Okay. You're your own OC. We'll give you a little extra money to spend on defense, and we're going to take our cost savings compared to what we would do with a normal head coach, normal offense coordinator staff, cost savings of probably $8 to $10 million, honestly. And we're going to put that into the roster. Now, granted, everywhere he leaves is an absolute dumpster fire. He leaves a disaster behind him, culturally, roster wise, all that kind of stuff. But maybe in a GM era where he's not running things on that side of the ball, I don't. There's worse ideas, I guess, maybe. But yeah, I don't know. I think Arkansas's defensive staff knew they were going to absolutely suck out loud this year because they knew they didn't have any players, because they didn't have any money in the portal to go get players. So that's what it comes down to. does Arkansas actually want to compete in the SEC? Like, you join the SEC, I don't think they really do, but I could be wrong. Hope I am.
Real quick, just to interject, because this is from the tailgate. I want to make sure we can ask. Did thinking about Arkansas while playing golf hurt your round negatively? Because I can't imagine there's a positive.
What did hurt my round is I really couldn't get to sleep at all, and I was 10 over through 5, and I shot 88.
Hey,
so like
fighting through adversity.
Yeah, turned it around, pretty well. But that was. I think, like, I don't know, you guys. Do you have a hard time going to sleep after the night show?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's like, we're done at like 1:30, but what time are you actually like falling asleep? Like, I think I was like 2:45. I checked the.
I was up writing until 2.
Yeah, which is
I got a solid 4 hours sleep.
Yeah.
That was.
And I was up at 7. Sucks.
Yeah, that's why Tom agreed. He was like, I'll just write to burn off all the energy, burn off the steam after the instant reaction show. So yeah, I feel you there, bud.
I will say Bobby's already he's doing what he can to get that job. I mean, that's like, day one showing up and firing the entire defensive staff. That is like, I'm here, I'm draining the swamp. I am playing to the fans who hate this defense. I'm going to give them what they want right away. Bobby P is here for you. I'm going to take over this program and get rid of everything that's wrong with it. Vote Bobby P.
Do you think he's got support?
I'm sure he has some.
I mean, I don't think you get to be the OC if you don't have some support.
Yeah.
When was the last time Arkansas was good? Who was their head coach?
Right. I hear you.
He's got support. I just don't know if it's enough support to actually get the job.
Like, Pittman did win 9 games at one point,
Mm-hmm.
So how many games are they going to win? I mean,
I don't think they're going to win.
With the new 90-game schedule, like, it's not a program I think you can win at. And a lot of people online have responded to me and they've said, why can't they be Ole Miss? Why can't they be Missouri? And honestly, like, part of it's the non-conference scheduling. Like, Ole Miss and Missouri schedule themselves 4-0 every year, right? Like, you could talk to me about Kansas. I get that. But, like, for the most part, Kansas is an absolute dumpster fire of the program. They're much better now. I don't think they're going to go back to what they were under Les Miles and before Les. But, like, more often than not, like, they're not a competitive program. Ole Miss schedules absolutely nobody on purpose. Like, they go 4-0 in the non-con every year for a reason, so that they keep their floor nice and high. Arkansas doesn't seem to do that. Like, Arkansas actually seems to want to play big non-conference games, which prevents them from having nice records.
Interesting.
You guys, like, the thought I had about this, like, with the timing of it, because it was clear he was going to get fired.
Correct.
Do you think they waited till after the season was 5 games old so players on the team couldn't just sit out the rest of the year?
No,
Yeah. Okay. So I'm not alone there.
There's no reason not to fire him after Memphis if you're going to fire him after that. Like, I mean, you had the same players. You couldn't get a single stop against Ole Miss. Like,
But you don't think anybody was lying to themselves?
About what?
One-score game against Ole Miss, one-score game against Memphis. We're a couple plays away. I mean, that's the classic being able to lie to yourself about a football season. We're not that far away from being undefeated.
Possibly, but I also definitely think they wanted to wait until they were at least 5 games into the season.
Yeah.
For that
if you're a program and you're not doing that, you're really not being smart.
To Tom's point, Travis Williams, defensive coordinator, defensive line coach Deke Adams, and then defensive assistant Marcus Woodson. We are full. Analysts are now coaches. Assistants are now coordinators. Skeleton staff scenario right there in Fayetteville. Sorry, Bud, you got something?
Yeah, I'm just looking at their schedule for next year. They're playing at Utah. Arkansas is.
I mean, Texas Tech won there. How hard can it be?
That's fair. Texas Tech probably has double the money Arkansas does.
Can you get John Gruden in there this week, or is he going to wait to see what happens at like Florida and Auburn?
No, he's going to wait. Your John Gruden AI generated photos are fantastic.
That wasn't AI. That was real.
I think he could get Arkansas.
I do too.
I don't think he would get serious consideration in Auburn or Florida. Like, those feel like serious football programs to me. Like Arkansas, whatever.
I mean, I would not be surprised if Florida made a run at John Gruden at all. He did win a Super Bowl right down the road with the Tampa Bay Bucks. I think that's one you trot out.
I hope that happens. Oh my Lord.
I hope it does happen too. I don't think it's that crazy. I think they will make a run at John Gruden.
Love that. All right, so let's play this prompt. If it's not Petrino, and I guess if it's not Gruden, what does an Arkansas wish list look like?
Lashley, I think is the top. Like Rhett Lashley at SMU is probably the guy that they really want to get. I just don't know if he'll take it.
What about Golish?
I mean, I think if you offer Golish a job, Golish has to take it. They're losing almost all their best players after this year. And we've seen before these G5 guys. It can be you, but it can also be like having special players at a certain time. Like look at Traylor at UTSA, right? You miss the window, you miss the window.
Kendall Briles?
That didn't go well there.
I thought he was the OC for the 9-win season. I might be wrong. I don't have that pulled up.
I think he was also the OC for like a year. They didn't. I don't think he got along well with Pittman. I don't think Kendall Briles is going to be like at that level of head coaching candidate.
Money being an issue could be a problem for Rhett Lashley. Don't forget SMU has agreed to fund all of the television revenue for 9 years. So the idea that they would get into a bidding war with SMU could be a very dangerous proposition.
I think Rhett's going to lay it out for Auburn too and see what happens there. Because I think SMU, you could make a case that that's a much better job than Arkansas. I don't know if you could say the same for Auburn.
It kind of depends on what you care about, though. Right? Like, if you just care about getting as rich as possible, I think Arkansas has a better job. But your roster is going to be worse than, like, more than a majority of the teams you play on an annual basis. Unless they all of a sudden start spending like crazy.
But golly.
It's just not a competitive program in the SEC. It should not have joined the SEC. It's a Big 12 program.
Didn't Hunter Yurcef, didn't their athletic director just say this out loud?
Yeah,
and everybody was upset.
Like, they're trying to win in basketball and baseball too. It's crazy.
I mean, that's the only reason that's not going to get you dropped from the Super League is because the Super League needs teams to take losses.
Yes.
But
what?
The Super League wants super brands.
I think Arkansas is a bigger brand than SMU.
Yeah, I don't think SMU is getting into the Super League.
But if it's all about, but that's what I'm saying. Like at the money part of this, right? If you're saying that SMU is a better job because easier path to winning more games, you've got the financial backing. I think that they fall behind Arkansas in terms of fan support. I think they fall behind Arkansas in terms of brand and recognition. That's not as easy of a call for me.
But can you win at Arkansas?
For a year. You can have a really good season. I don't think you can sustain it unless something drastically changes in the SEC.
You think you can make bowls more than half the time? With the new 9-game
with
schedule?
a good coach, for sure, yeah.
Sure.
Ooh, that's going to be tough. I mean, I almost have to get him. He played there. That's going to be a rough look. But I think it's a really tough decision for Rhett because he could be one of those coaches that waits for the perfect job or the better job.
Yeah.
And he's got a really good thing going in Dallas.
I think you can get much better players relative to your competition at SMU, and that allows you to win and level up to like a job that you actually really want to stay at.
Yeah,
but like Rhett's from Springdale.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that Rhett Lashley wants the Arkansas job, but I'm still thinking that you can get to bowl games pretty regularly at Arkansas if you get a good coach. Whether Rhett wants to be that coach, I don't know. But if Vandy's now at a point where they're getting to bowl games regularly, there's no reason Arkansas can't be. Vandy got the right coaching staff in there.
Look, totally agree. But A, we are going to a 9-gamer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is like the best quarterback Vandy's had in the history of the program. Maybe Cutler.
I was going to say Jay Cutler was decent.
Yeah. Well, I think Pavia was much more effective in the SEC than Cutler was.
All right. Any other names that you would put on the quick watch list here?
I mean, I think they're clearly hoping that Auburn and Florida don't open. And you go after a Summerall, right? Like somebody like that.
Maybe. I mean, I think that thinking that both Auburn and Florida are not going to open is wishful thinking.
Totally agree. Yeah.
Okay.
Hell, maybe LSU. Ooh. Although I bet you LSU lets Kelly do the coordinator thing.
Oh, fire Joe Sloan.
Yeah.
And then, yeah. I could see that. Even though I saw that as like a sentiment was, you said it was a Matt House thing. You said it was a this thing. It's like, what if it's just the coach? Who knows?
That's possible.
Worth considering. All right. Coming up on the other side, we turn our attention back to the here and now. We turn our attention to teams that are ranked in the top 25, but with a special look at those who are voting on it. It is Poll Assassin and more. Next.
Only CBS Sports can bring you big time during the heart of Saturday afternoons. It's big time.
It's big time. It's big time. It's big time.
On CBS and streaming on Paramount Plus.
Back here on the Cover 3 podcast every single Monday, we like to take a look at the new AP Top 25 poll and give it a second look under the microscope. The changes, the ballots, and more. We call it Poll Assassin. Let's do it. Well, we've got a new number 2 team in the country. Yes, as we discussed late night on Saturday night, Ohio State did hold on to its spot. They did lose, as we discussed, some of their 55 first place votes now, but I mean, they're still at 46. Oregon picks up 16 first place votes. Miami in at number 3 with 4 first place votes. Big move up for Lane Kiffin's Ole Miss Rebels. Take the over on the number of spots that they go up. Now at number 4 in the ranking, up 9 spots from where they were previously. Some shuffling that was expected because of the losses. Penn State falls 4 spots down to number 7. Georgia falls 7 spots to 12. And the LSU Tigers fall 9 spots down to 13 after the Tigers lose to Ole Miss. Other shuffling includes Alabama moving up after beating Georgia. They now check in at 10. Florida State drops 10 spots down to number 18 following the loss to Virginia, which of course brings about, as we mentioned, the complicated issue of trying to respect head-to-head results where you've got conflicting head-to-head results. Unless you are going to be pulling Alabama and Georgia all the way down or leaving Florida State up, you're going to have a little bit of conflict there. That's what we see as Florida State has the win over Alabama. Alabama has the win over Georgia. But I wanted to begin, Danny Kanell, with a look at number 7. It's Penn. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, you were thinking what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
All right.
Who they beaten? What are we going to go with? I am so tired of the good losses argument. It's what kept Notre Dame in the top 25 before they beat Arkansas. At some point, why do we let teams get away with this? Why do we let the voters get away with this? Texas is another one on there. Still a top 10 team. Where's Texas' good win? Oh, well, it was a good loss. It drives me insane that teams haven't even beaten a Power 4 opponent, and we're looking at them and giving them credit for a top 10, a top 10 ranking next to their name. And the other thing that drives me nuts is I think this year specifically, we've all kind of at least become to the realization that the AP voting process is a complete joke. And yet we all still reference top 25 wins or top 10 wins or top 15 wins. And we're just fueling the narrative that helps the biggest brands in the sport. It drives me batty.
So look, I get it, but also logically, if you think Oregon is the number 2 team in the nation, how far can you really drop the team that just played them to double overtime?
As far as you want. They didn't wait till next week. Why can't we wait? And why does it have to happen now? Why can't we wait and make sure that Penn State is as good as we think they are? Because for 3.5 quarters of that game, it sure didn't look like they were a top 10 team.
I know.
And take it to overtime like we're supposed to give them credit for that. I don't understand why it has to happen now. I'm totally okay if Penn State goes out. Just give me 1 more game, 2 more games. Let them blow out somebody, then let them move up.
I do think there is a very solid argument to be made that Penn State shouldn't be ranked ahead of Indiana if you compare resumes. Even if you look at, Penn State playing Oregon tough.
Or Indiana Alabama. Alabama just went into Athens.
Yeah,
I'm saying Alabama.
I think there's a very solid argument you can make that Penn State is still too high if you're actually looking at the resumes of the teams that they're being compared to right now, even with that close loss. Because Penn State particularly, that loss to Oregon was the best game they've played. and they didn't play well until the fourth quarter. Although the defense played great, but we'll get to that later. I don't know. I mean, this is the weird part. It's like for me earlier in the season, it's very clear, like some of the voting kind of just malpractice that goes on. But this is when you start getting to the point of the year where it's like, okay, well, yeah, you're going to have head-to-head results that don't match up with what happened last week, and it's going to lead to stupid things. That said, Alabama being 10th and Florida State being 18th to me is absolutely ridiculous. If Florida State was 11th and Alabama was 10th, I'd be like, all right, fine, whatever. That's just kind of funny. But like the fact that they put that huge of a gap between them to me is ridiculous. But we call out a lot of voters on here. I'm going to give some credit here. This is for you, Danny. Reese Davis, John Wilner, Steven Johnson, David Briggs, Andy Yamashita, the evil Ralph Russo, Sam McEwen, and Stephen Means. Those are your AP voters who still had Florida State ahead of Alabama on their ballots this week.
Let's go.
True ball knowers right there.
I mean, even Reese Davis, Alabama grad.
Mm-hmm.
That's somebody who's the closest to the fire, and he feels the warmth. Let's go. Congrats.
The only reason I'm not too willing to whatever, I think they should honor the head-to-head is because Florida State plays Miami this weekend. Like if they beat them, they should make a massive jump. And then maybe at that point, their resumes get a lot more similar because Florida State would have yet another win. Then you have that judgment call and it's a lot closer. So that's why I'm not too upset about Florida State and where they are, because they should have an opportunity to, if they have to win, and then they could make a massive jump up.
You know who should be the most pissed off, though?
Who?
Virginia fans. Because think about it. The way that this poll works is more of an indictment about how the voters think of teams that aren't supposed to be good than it is Florida State. Because we have seen voters overreact and punish teams for losing games. But like Illinois lost by 50 last week and dropped from 9 to 23. Florida State lost, close to Virginia on the road, a 4-1 Virginia team, and dropped 10 spots. So like if Illinois is dropping 14 for losing by 50, why is Florida State dropping by 10 for losing close? That to me doesn't make sense. The reason is because Virginia stinks, at least in the minds of the voters. Now they snuck into the poll at the very end. They got into 24th, but it's just, to me, I'm angrier if I'm a Virginia fan than if I'm a Florida State fan, honestly.
Do you know why Virginia fans are particularly angry, and not just because we went over the top calling them nerds for about 90 seconds at the end of the show at 1 a.m. Because if they don't throw an interception against NC State, they're undefeated with a win against Florida State. Like they are legitimately 1 or 2 plays.
They might be
away.
20th right now instead of 24.
Yeah. So that was a sentiment that I was definitely starting to see from the who's out there who are very much in the, man, I think we're going to regret that loss at NC State in week 2. Now, remember, that was a non-conference game. So Virginia, undefeated in ACC play with the head-to-head win over Florida State. If Tony, and a decent conference draw, Tony Elliott can keep this thing on the tracks. They could do something.
It's the ACC. They will not keep it on
that's true.
tracks.
But
to your point, no Clemson, no Miami, no SMU. They do have a tricky one this weekend at Louisville, but it is a very, very manageable schedule.
They'll be underdogs at Duke.
Yeah. Because Duke's the only of all the schools here in the Triangle that have moved on to basketball season. Duke's the only one that still cares about football. I mean,
they killed Syracuse,
which is remarkable. That's where we're at right now. Maybe a little bit more on both those things later. All right, where else in the rankings do you want to turn our attention?
I mean, LSU has no good games at this point. They should not be top 20, honestly. Like
directional Louisiana Tech. And a Clemson team, which, by the way, in the CBS Sports 136, which updated this morning, Clemson is ranked 59th. Florida is ranked 67th. So LSU, according to the CBS Sports 136, has 0 top 50 wins.
I mean, LSU is still in the top 10 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 ballots still have LSU in the top 10. I don't agree with you. They shouldn't be in the top 20. I'm not going to agree with you. They shouldn't be in the top 20 opinion that Bud just shared. Name 20 better teams.
Okay, well, actually, let's do this. I worked on this morning.
Okay.
Everybody ahead of them, we think would be favored over them, correct?
Right now?
Yeah.
Is Indiana favored over LSU?
I think yes. I think
Tech favored over LSU?
Like non-functional.
I don't know if I'm going to go that far.
But out of that, well, who would you pick? Indiana.
Like,
forget that. Like, I hate that.
Yeah, I would pick
Indiana.
Indiana. I would pick Indiana, but Indiana also just struggled on the road against Iowa.
Agreed. That's why I think all of this stuff is so complicated this year because of the parity. And that's what's frustrating is because the perception and where you have that magical number in front of your name is really going to matter at the end of the season. And it shouldn't, but it's going to.
I would take Missouri over them. I would take Michigan over them. I would take Notre Dame over them. I would take FSU over them. I would take Tennessee over them.
Hold on. You're not going to take LSU because their offense stinks, but you're going to take Michigan over them?
I think Michigan's offense looks better than LSU's offense. I think the defense is I think the offensive gap in Michigan's favor is bigger than maybe the slight defensive gap in LSU's favor. Yeah. I think LSU's offense looks broken. I mean, they had 21 carries for 60 yards. Nussmeier looks hurt. I'm just saying, like right now, they do not look like a top 20 football team to me. Honestly, they got very lucky that Ole Miss did not blow them out.
Tom, I think you make a case for Illinois over LSU. If you get the version of Illinois that you got against USC, they played pretty well. They got some good game. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to
argue. Yeah, Michigan can run the ball. LSU cannot.
Right.
But, I mean, the thing is, like, I don't know. LSU's defense is pretty solid against the run. And I feel like if LSU is able to stop the run against Michigan, what the hell are they going to do against them? Nothing.
That's fair. Do we think LSU would score?
No, but I think they could beat Michigan 13-10.
Well, if the officials from Happy Valley step in and just decide we're not going to call holding because we don't want to have a 3-3 tied into oblivion. Yeah. Then who else? Anybody else from the ranking stand out? It was again jumbled. Lots to be able to sort out. It was a big weekend of results. So something that we knew that this part of the season was coming, and that's definitely what's arrived here with some of the conflicts that you've got all throughout the ballot. Georgia Tech feels too high. They did not get punished for a yeah. That was not fluky either. Like they got outplayed. Yes. And then have you seen you saw the offsides call? Yeah. Wake Forest has been on the wrong side of the officials for about 2 weeks in a row right now. And I mean, that's going to be the difference between maybe going bowling or not for Jake Dickert. So
they put out did the ACC put out an apology or whoops, we're bad, my bad?
And I haven't seen it yet, but that one was,
I mean, it was a great, I mean, and it was like the Auburn stuff. Auburn, Oklahoma was interesting because there were calls. They could have kneeled on it and the game was over if they call that call right. And he was clearly offsides. That should be reviewable, by the way. Think about it. Like a turnover with a clear and obvious offsides should be reviewable. Like it's not really a judgment call at that point. You have the down the line camera look on every snap. Like it's really not that hard to take a look at that. And it's something that could be quick. Like you're going to a break anyway after a turnover. So, I mean, if you have a pretty clear offsides, that's like palpable error. I think that should be a reviewable play. Targeting is judgment. Targeting is judgment. Your defensive pass interference, holding is judgment. Like there is not much judgment about whether or not you were on one side or the other of the line of scrimmage.
And if they did review it, we would be able to write a bunch of columns about how cool it is to hear them talk about it.
Wait, hold on. Are they writing columns? I see a lot of commentary on social media. Writing columns about it?
I'm sure they are. I've seen them. Yeah. I don't know if there's 100 of them. It does look cool.
I only read Tom, That's all.
You don't read me, boy.
It's the one win that Jim Phillips and the ACC they've gotten like since during his tenure. And the very next day, there's a horrific ACC official call that just kind of takes away from it. And I like how it kind of sounds like NASA, just the microphones, the way they're like a little radio-ish. Yeah.
We're getting some sort of disturbance from Sector 7G.
They should be a little more zoomed in so you can actually see the screens they're looking at. That's the only criticism. I think it's a great concept.
And Danny, we always talk about the quarterback language and the play call. How about the referee language? Because they always, they're down, distance, time, and yardage, and they like spit it out just like Spider 2 Y banana. It's a whole new different terminology to it. So yeah, again, lots more changes to come as we look ahead for the AP Top 25, and then coming up in about a month or so, we get another curveball with the college football playoff rankings, and the little numbers beside the names on your television screen have a whole new set of authority. And now it's time for the brilliantly boring wins of the week, brought to you by PNC Bank, where we highlight the boring actions that make the biggest difference. Financial wins and football victories don't just happen. They're built on dedicated, consistent, often unseen work behind the scenes. It's the tactical moves and plays that create the foundation for show-stopping moments in life and on the field. And going into week 5, Tom Fornelli and I had a discussion. It was about familiarity, because when you find out that a team is traveling from San Diego to DeKalb, Illinois, you're thinking, you know what, that's going to be a foreign spot. But oh, no. Not when the head coach of that San Diego State team, he spent time in the MAC. He knows about these MAC streets. And even though Sean Lewis comes with a big offensive background, he knew what it would take to be able to go and get a tough road win against a MAC team. And that was just going to be the brilliantly boring defensive excellence, as San Diego State held Northern Illinois to just 179 yards of total offense. They absolutely locked them down, allowed 57 yards of passing on just 16 attempts, picked them off as well. And San Diego State wins 6-3 against Northern Illinois. And why is this particularly significant? Because now Sean Lewis's San Diego State team is 3-1 on the season. That loss to Washington State, I'm sure, feels very frustrating, and that matches the win total from last year. Tom, what kind of encouragement do you have about Sean Lewis and the way he was able to handle this tough road spot?
I mean, I do think that when you look at the situation, getting the big home win over Cal, winning 34-0, an ACC win, and then you have to go on the road the next week to play a Northern Illinois team that maybe you get kind of caught overlooking. The fact that they went in, and no, it was not a brilliant performance from the San Diego State offense. They did only manage 6 points. Their defense did an incredible job. But I just think that it's a great job by Sean Lewis and that staff, making sure that their team were not celebrating too much last week's big win and going on the road, knowing it wasn't going to be easy. You don't just walk into DeKalb thinking you're going to beat the Huskies. You got to know what highways to take from O'Hare to beat the traffic. So they got everything planned out. They went there. They had a plan. They executed it. Maybe not as well as they wanted, but they did it good enough, and they got out of there with the win.
San Diego State, Northern Illinois 3. The Aztecs improved to 3-1 on the season. And those were the brilliantly boring wins of the week, brought to you by PNC Bank. Brilliantly boring since 1865. Brilliantly boring since 1865 is a service mark of the PNC Financial Services Group, Inc. PNC Bank, National Association, member FDIC. And coming up on the other side, we go under the hood for one last look at week 5. It's Upon Further Review and more next.
Name's Conrad Harrigan, family man. And if you cross my family, well, you'd better pray.
Mobland, new series streaming March 30th on Paramount Plus.
Back here on the Cover 3 podcast, one of the most pivotal points of the week for the Cover 3 podcast is one last chance to empty the notebook before we look ahead. We call it Upon Further Review. There were terrible calls. Do we want to go ahead and jump in?
After further review.
After further review.
After further review.
Tom, a little bit earlier in the show, you said a little more on that later. You got something you want to turn our attention to get us started for Upon Further Review?
Yeah, I went back and I rewatched Oregon-Penn State. And obviously, if you're a Penn State fan, it hurts. You lost the game again. You made the nice rally towards the end of the game. But I do think if there is a silver lining to suggest that maybe there's a chance you can win this game later or one of these games later, it's that the Jim Knowles hire works. I thought that Penn State's defense overall, and we talked about it on the reaction show, there was a lot of holding which was negating a lot of the pass rush for both teams. But they did a great job of going out there and taking away what Oregon was best at. And that has been big plays all season long, an explosive offense that gets chunk yardage and just completely blows you out of the water and destroys you and strips you of your confidence. Oregon had a 7.7% explosive play rate in this game, which is their lowest of the season by far. Their previous lowest was 15.6 against Montana State. So they pretty much halved it. So if you are Penn State, you know that you have a defense that is capable of slowing down one of the best offenses in the country. That's what you learned on Saturday night. That's what you need to know when you have Ohio State coming, or when you get to the back of the Big Ten championship and whoever you're facing there, or you get to the playoff and you're going to face another good offense. That defense, if I'm a Penn State fan, it's like, I'm still upset I lost the game. I still wish I would have won it, but I feel like I'm confident that my defense can win me a game, even if my quarterback and that offense isn't that good, because you almost just saw it happen on Saturday night.
On that note, I bet you Drew Aller has a better career than any of these Penn State receivers, like NFL-wise. I think they're slightly upgraded from where they were last year, but like those guys don't look like difference makers to me. You know, maybe Pena was like a stat king last year at Syracuse, but like when he faces real competition, doesn't look like anything special to me. Doesn't look like a pro.
I thought Oregon's deal. I was doing my best in the hotel room to have. There were actually like 2 TVs in the room, so I would like run around to one side, run around to the other to be able to like go back and forth, and had the radio call for Oregon-Penn State beside the computer I was working on. But I thought Oregon's defensive plan to really confuse Penn State was good. You know, like the fact that the wide receivers didn't stand out might have been some work that was done Monday through Friday. You know, where it's just the pivot points for Andy Kotelnicki and for Drew Aller and for Penn State's offense. I mean, they did not look comfortable. And I thought that Oregon's defensive plan, that's one thing. We talk a lot about Will Stein, and we talk a lot about Dante Moore looking like Dante Moore some huge throws in this game, as we talked about. But man, the conversation about Oregon as one of the best teams in the country, I think the piece that I did not recognize as much coming into the season, and I'm continuing to become more impressed with, is that defensively, they do have one of the best defensive units as well. And when you are a national championship team, you got to be top 10 in both of those. And I don't think there are 10 defenses I would take ahead of Oregon's right now.
Bear Alexander was really good for Oregon in this game. Do you know who the second highest rated player on Penn State's offense was?
Lineman included?
Yeah.
Is it a lineman?
No.
Oh, who?
It's a quarterback.
Drew Aller?
Yeah. Like PFF basically just thinks the rest of this Penn State offense sucks around him. I don't know that I totally agree with, but like
I don't know if I agree with
these receivers anything special, and they're not getting pushed in the run game.
I don't think Penn State's offense is anybody on that unit's really coating itself in glory. Like you take that Aller might be better in the NFL than the receivers, maybe, but then I think of what Trey Wallace is doing at Ole Miss. It's like he looks suddenly very good in an offense that's getting him open and has quarterbacks who can get him the ball and who are actually willing to take shots when he's in man-on-man coverage. Whereas Drew Aller, I feel like one of his bigger problems is he is terrified of pulling the trigger in a lot of situations where sometimes you just kind of have to pull the trigger.
Oregon's the best team in the country right now.
Oh,
okay.
You think that's controversial?
Yeah, I think Ohio State over Oregon.
So here's my take on Ohio State. And now this is where right now, if you had me take one team, I would take Oregon. Talk to me again in December or at the Big Ten championship game or the playoffs if these two teams meet. I don't think Ohio State trusts Julian Sand yet, but I don't think they have to. And I think it's kind of like when we talked to Ryan Day and he was talking about game management, load management, like we didn't really care. I think that's the approach he's taking with Julian Sand. They're really not exposing too much in a game like that. They're not asking him to do too much because the defense is so good. That's why the first half's kind of slow. They don't really do it. They just trust their defense. And they have, quick hitting touchdown, the crossing route to Jeremiah Smith to get things under control. Like, I don't think it matters. But that's where I think the development of Julian Sand is something to keep an eye on. Like, does he start to get more comfortable? Do they trust him more in the system? Because I think right now they have a very, very tight leash on Julian Sand. And what I saw from Dante Moore in Oregon is they're throwing the ball in situations where you're like, oh my gosh, they're still being aggressive here. Like they trust him. I trust Oregon more right now than I trust Ohio State.
Remember how we had the Whoop data? Oh, so no free ads. Remember how we had like the heartbeat data at the Ryder Cup?
For JT.
Yeah. What do you think Dante Moore's is? Like
45.
Yeah.
Like, whatever horse is sitting around right now.
He gets skittish.
Okay, all right.
I don't know. He looked, the way he operated in the pocket, operated within the system, I thought he looked in complete control. I know our Mike Renner, and I like Fernando Mendoza too, but I think I'm giving the edge to Dante Moore if I was looking at the next level.
Oh, we get to see them play too on October 11th in Autzen Stadium. That game is going to be good.
I think Ohio State has so many difference makers on defense and at receiver that I agree Oregon has the quarterback advantage. I don't think it's so big that it overcomes the other edges that Ohio State has.
Yeah, Julian saying ain't Craig Krenzel, but Ohio State right now looks like one of those old national title contenders with a bus driver of a quarterback and just freaks everywhere else. And it's a fun debate. I think that's one of the fun debates coming out of this week is an Ohio State, Oregon, who you got. AP voters, obviously, given the heavy edge to the Buckeyes, and we don't have a regular season game to be able to put them against each other. But I think that is a very fun debate for college football fans to be having this week. All right, Ohio State, Oregon, who you got tomorrow? Who you got in December if they play for the Big Ten title? Who you got in January if they meet up in the college football playoff semifinals? Like I really like what I've seen from both of those teams.
So yesterday in my playoff, I had Ohio State, Miami, Oregon, Texas Tech, right? Which I think reflects what we're seeing at the top of the sport with like the best Big Ten teams. And I think clearly look better than what the SEC has. I think the SEC is pretty clearly deeper overall. So I had 5 SEC teams in, none of them getting a bye. And then I had, 2 Big Ten buys because, like if Oregon runs it and Ohio State runs it, there's no way they're dropping Oregon to 5th or Ohio State to 5th if one of them loses the Big Ten championship game.
Even outside of the way the bracket plays out, you could say that SEC has 10 of the top 20 teams in the country and none of the top 3.
Yeah. Yeah. So the top 4 teams in SP Plus this week are all Big Ten. And the SEC's average rating is still 4.5 points higher.
But I blame UCLA for that. That's all UCLA.
That's all UCLA.
Yeah, the bottom 2 are really bad.
And Northwestern, who played each other and just drug each other down even further and even further. Hey,
going back to Danny's point about saying, I don't think that Ohio State was putting everything on his plate in this game, but I think they trust him. I just don't. He went on the road. It's his first road start. It's in one of the tougher environments you're ever going to play in. And he was 22-28. 2 touchdowns, no mistakes. Didn't make a ton of big plays, but he didn't make any of the bad plays that you would expect a freshman to make.
How many times did he throw the ball downfield?
Not that
Not
often,
many.
But did you watch Washington's coverage? There's a whole lot of quarters.
Yeah. Yeah, they probably didn't want to give up the big play.
Mm-hmm.
Which they're probably going to – Ohio State's probably going to see a lot of that.
Yeah, they didn't have Taco Davis. They didn't have their best pass rusher. They were dropping back a lot just to try to keep everything in front of them. And I think that he did the thing that a lot of freshmen don't. He took what was there. He trusted his teammates. A lot of freshmen are like, "Oh God, I got to make something happen here. I'm the guy. I'm the man. I've been since I was 12."
DK. Oh, sorry. Anything else on Oregon-Penn State before we? Obviously we'll be talking about those teams a lot. Probably even on Tuesdays, Big Ten show on CBS Sports Network, noon Eastern time.
So a Penn State fan reads it like, "Hey, what do I do?" Like, oh, here we go again. I would not throw them out just yet. They'll be fine. Like, I do think it's going to be a question every time they face a good team. They were close to getting it done. And if Drew Allard doesn't lock in on his guy and just, make a boneheaded throw in that situation, who knows? Maybe they come out with the win and we're talking about it completely different, but they did claw their way back. Maybe that's something, maybe that's what they needed to see was, hey, we can score fast. We can get 2 touchdowns on the board. We can sustain drives. Maybe that's the sort of loss that kind of wakes them up the way that Bama did for them, losing to Florida State.
Do you guys want to go for some engagement?
Yes.
Sure. All right. So, give me 2 seconds of silence here. Let's set it up. Does Penn State win that game with Bo Pribula?
Oh, man.
I don't think he makes some of those throws Aller made. He might make the run game a little bit better.
Yeah.
Like they couldn't run the ball.
Guys, we're going
which
for
opens things up.
We're going for engagement here, guys. All right, let's start over.
Reset.
Yeah.
Does Penn State win that game with Bo Pribula?
By
Penn
3
State blows
touchdowns.
him out of the water.
I agree. I just think that they made a huge mistake letting Bo Pribula walk out of that door during the middle of the playoffs, by the way. I think that was a huge mistake on Penn State's part. And if James Franklin was doing a good job, he would have kept Pribula and kicked Aller out, and they'd be undefeated right now.
To your point,
And
though, to your point, with his athleticism, with the way he runs the ball, it does change the way they have to defend you, which opens up easier throws in the pass game. So maybe you don't have to have him make many great throws. He's making a lot more easy ones.
How many national championships does Eli Drinkwitz win at Penn State with Bo Pribula?
Well, he only gets them for 4 seasons, so I'm going to go with 4.
Okay. Anything else from Alabama, Georgia coming out of the weekend? Because we went live very shortly after the game was done. Man, Kirby Smart's doing the thing, right? Well, what's everybody else's record against Alabama? Do you have that? No, I don't have that. It's just what's going to happen, guys. I can't think about. Hold on. Do you have that? I can't think about that. Okay. It's college football, man. It's just going to happen. It's just going to happen when you look around. Games all over the country. It's just going to be like that. Georgia fans aren't happy, right? Does the Georgia fan, obviously all fans have the right to feel however they want to feel, but does Kirby Smart have a point, or should Georgia fans feel validated in their frustration with we have an Alabama problem type scenario?
I mean, like, Georgia has a pass rush problem.
Yeah.
Right? Like that showed up against Tennessee. They could have easily lost to Tennessee because they can't get after the passer. Right? Like, Bama's a better team than Tennessee is, not by some huge margin, but like Georgia has no pass rush this year. Like all their pass rush comes from these backers. Like it's all manufactured.
I would take that a small step further. I would say they don't have an Alabama problem. They have a line of scrimmage problem. Like, I still think they're good. So just for context, they're good. They're better than most teams on the offensive and defensive lines. They're just not on either side of the ball as good as they had been 2 or 3 years ago. And I think that is causing them. Yeah, and that is causing them to be in a lot more of these games than they probably would have been before. And I think that is where now that they don't have it's easier to win with a game manager quarterback when you can just beat the hell out of teams in the line of scrimmage than when you can't.
Yeah, like Ty Simpson played really well. Ty Simpson's going to be a pro. I don't think Gunnar Stockton's a pro player. At least not like a high pick type guy. He's more that college game manager, kind of fine, to Tom's point, if what you have around you is really good. But I think their receivers are really good. They think they got the offensive line combo figured out, and I don't necessarily disagree. It's probably the best we've seen Georgia's offensive line look so far this year. They actually kicked Gaston out to right tackle, the freshman guard, and he's a freak and actually played, just fine out there. Like, I will note, Bama D-line this year has not been up to standard, and like they were not very good against FSU. Bama D-line was not really anything special in this game against UGA. Rousseau got hurt as well. Maybe Georgia's offensive line stuff is solved. Maybe it's not. I think it's the best it has looked, but it's just weird watching Bama Georgia and not seeing like wildly good line of scrimmage play compared to what we normally see in this league. Although I thought Bama's O-line was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
You know that Kalen DeBoer also has a good record against Dan Lanning and also has a good record against Steve Sarkisian.
Yeah, I brought that up last week.
Yeah. And I think Alabama has a good football coach. I know they wanted to spend their lottery money to get him out of there, but he's showing up in these big games.
What
if Georgia against Kalen's like that boxer just cannot find a way to get to the corner, to halftime?
What if Alabama's like bizarro Auburn now under Gus, whereas it's like they were able to beat Alabama with Gus, but they were losing all those other games? What if Alabama's now in a position with Kalen where it's like, we're going to beat Georgia every single time we play them, but we might lose to Vandy once in a while and maybe a Mississippi State here or there because we're going to be playing them every year? What if? Like a Freaky Friday situation going on in Tuscaloosa.
Danny, what'd you make of Alabama, Georgia? Fallout game and more.
I think Alabama's the best team in the SEC. I think Ty Simpson is the best quarterback in the SEC, maybe in the entire country. He has been lights out. He's been close to perfect since losing to Florida State. And he had all day to throw, operating in the system. He knew exactly where to go with the football. I thought getting Tim Keenan and Jam Miller back was big for them. I still think I think they're going to win the SEC. So I just thought the Florida State game was one where it was sort of the perfect storm of Florida State played their tail off. Bama might have been caught off balance a little bit. They lose. I think they're going to be right back where we expected them to be in the preseason.
I can rock with that.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many teams I think could win the SEC, like legitimately could win it. What?
Are there
6, 7?
Okay, so here's what, before we wander into this, I haven't done the simulate the rest of the schedule to see who's got the advantage in terms of the draw. So I'm probably thinking about this more in a power rating standpoint. If I remember from last year, since the SEC schedules are the same, Ole Miss might have more of an advantage than I would give Ole Miss just because of who they've got who they are playing the rest of the way.
Yeah, remember, Ole Miss has the same schedule they had last year. It's a cakewalk within the league, and they are potentially in a position to cash it in this year.
I sent this to you guys yesterday. I'll read it off on the show now from Connolly. His SP Plus SEC title odds per SP Plus. Ole Miss 16.3%, Mizzou 12.9, Oklahoma 11.1, Alabama 11.1, Vandy 9.7, Texas 8.5, Tennessee 7.2, Texas A&M 6.2, Georgia 5.2, LSU 5.2. So basically, Vanderbilt's almost twice as likely to win the SEC as Georgia and LSU are at this point.
Whoa!
According to SP Plus.
Whoa!
I mean, I do think there's a bit of like you actually have to get there and win that game to it, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
But like Vandy is mathematically alive with a straight face, and we're basically in October.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That hasn't happened in our lifetimes.
No.
Over by October.
Yeah, we told you.
If you look at the betting odds, I think they're probably a little more realistic here. It's basically 6 teams or 7 teams: Missouri, Oklahoma, A&M, Ole Miss, Georgia, Texas, and Alabama.
What an opportunity for Missouri. Good gravy. Yeah. I mean, when they got to the SEC championship game 2 years in a row and won the SEC East, there was a lot of but that accompanied that, even though they were like super high win totals. The teams were really good, had NFL players on both sides of the ball. The but being that your traditional powers on that side of the conference were like definitely down. If Missouri gets to the SEC championship game in this SEC, I don't know if there's any yes or buts. I think that would just be a super impressive showing from Eli Drinkwitz in this team.
That makes sense. Okay.
Bud, you got anything on the notebook you want to get out before we start to look ahead?
Not really. I think we covered a lot. I mean, I'm concerned about Auburn. Clearly, like to me that's something we got to watch out for. Man, USD has a very tough stretch coming up, and they're like really banged up. Their injury timing here is not good. What else out there?
Yeah, Illinois just beat them up physically. What are you gonna do?
Did y'all see? Speaking of post game press conferences, did you see that Mike Elko gave a nice little nod to Brian Kelly? He was chastising the media for the tenor and the tone of some of their questions, and he goes, "I don't want to sound like somebody else, but to his point, I wanted to offer, and I don't want to step on Trap Draw's corners here, but a little mea culpa of my own, just like I was not giving Texas A&M's defense a chance. There's plenty of data, both in terms of film and statistics, to back up the idea that group was going to be in trouble. But going back and rewatching Auburn, Texas A&M, a game that was going on as I was kind of switching locations, the early down defense by Texas A&M to stop the run and force Jackson Arnold into the losing position that is 3rd and long over and over and over and over again. I just thought Texas A&M's defense did a good job. And as you mentioned, Tom, Auburn's defense is still really good. You just got to wonder whether they're going to let go of the rope at some point because of some of the offensive struggles. So for Texas A&M, I think that on rewatch, came away more impressed with the performance than maybe I felt on Saturday night coming out of that 16-10 result.
How did you separate Auburn's just completed competence from A&M? Because I was impressed with A&M, but man, that was a
Like the
That was a pretty
penalties
flat
and
lineup.
stuff.
From, like Auburn kind of no-showed that offensively.
I think some of that was the opponent.
Okay.
Outside of penalties, procedural stuff. It was a little messy, a little sloppy for sure.
I think that's fair.
Anything else? Anything else from week 5?
Not a real upon further review, but just an interesting factoids for the listeners. Still undefeated against the spread. Memphis, Mississippi State, Utah State, Louisiana Tech, and James Madison. Still winless against the spread. Georgia, Clemson, Penn State, SMU, Georgia State, and Sam Houston.
Let's see. I mean, do you think Clemson's going to cover against North Carolina?
What's
If
the
all
number?
of the pattern they did last year, they would beat the bad teams in the ACC and beat them pretty badly.
Yeah.
But they
We'll
lost
see.
to Syracuse.
We'll see. All right. Here's the schedule for the week. Noon Eastern time on Tuesday. You can find us on CBS Sports Network. We will be diving in with a special spotlight on the Big Ten, tackling some of the biggest questions as we go look ahead to week 6. Then on Wednesday, it'll be big game breakdown where there's just a little small game of incredible significance that is so big, we're going to be going to Tallahassee because that's right. We want everybody Friday, October 3rd, to be at Madison Social in downtown Tallahassee, Florida. 3 p.m. Eastern time is when the show gets started. But look, we're going to be hanging out all afternoon and into the evening, and we want you to be there. We're going to have giveaways. We're going to have games. We're going to have trivia, some swag, lots more. And of course, if you can't make it, we'll be sure to give you the opportunity to participate, submitting some questions, a little Ask Me Anything as well. It is the Cover 3 pregame tailgate live in advance of Florida State and Miami, downtown Tallahassee at Madison Social this Friday, October 3rd, 3 p.m. Eastern time. Now, Florida State and Miami big game breakdowns, obviously going to be the headliner. We'll have other games as well packed into Wednesday's show here, 11 a.m. Eastern time. Then Thursday, 11 a.m. Eastern time, we'll go with our locks. And then Friday, we'll all be together right there at Madison Social. Yes, Tom.
I just want to check with Danny and Bud. Is there any snow in the forecast?
I think we're safe.
Thank God. All right.
Okay. That's, I mean, and never mind. We're not, I can't even, there's too many weather patterns out there, Tom. We need everybody, we need things to be looking as clear as possible. And then we'll be okay. But yes, now we are very fired up to get back together. We are very fired up to spend that time with you downtown Tallahassee in advance of Florida State and Miami. Come and hang out and watch us live. That'll be on Friday. Then, of course, the big game on Saturday and Saturday night instant reaction show. And you can follow him on Twitter at Tom Fornelli. You can follow him at Bud Elliott 3. You can follow him at Danny Kanell. Follow me at Chip _Patterson. Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you.
See y'all.
See ya.